What's up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Esquire, and this is Illegal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge, coming at you at 9:30 p.m. from Bangkok, Thailand. And of course, that's 9:30 a.m. for those over in Florida, hanging out in Florida. So good morning to you if you're in the United States. Good evening if you're over here in Asia with me taking those Asia pills. And hello, wherever you are. Good to see everybody in the house today. We're going to have a fun one today going over this new decision, talking about the relevant parts of this decision. Disney thinks it's a huge W. Disney thinks this is a slam dunk. They think it's a huge W. So we're going to talk about it today and decide for ourselves, be our own judge on whether this is a slam dunk for Disney. Of course, it is always good to see members up in the house, and I don't know why I can't pull it up, but we have KMW who joined the replay gang. I guess it was before the chat started. I don't know, but a quick shout out. I'll put it up here to KMW as a new member of the replay gang. Appreciate you joining and appreciate the members coming up big. And also a big shout out to everybody who attended the members only stream this morning, yesterday evening for you guys in America. It was really fun. We went over a bunch of topics. If you guys missed it, missed a lot of conversation on a lot of things. We talked a little bit about Vivek. We talked about the border. We talked about a whole lot of stuff. Courtney Clenny, the trials to come. And that's, of course, members only. But the good thing is, because of generous people out there that have been donating, a lot of y'all are now members. So many people were able to attend, which was really awesome. So a shout out to everybody that I see that is in both chats. Also a shout out to the mods. Thank you to Danielle. I don't know if Don Baca's awake yet over there in Czech, if he's all right, but big shout out to the mods that have been hanging out, that have been doing a great job modding both morning and evening shows. So appreciate all y'all in the chat, and good to see everybody there. Also, shout out to Rumble, Aaron, Danielle. I see you guys over there. Almost 50 people already on Rumble, smashing that pussy, already getting in there on Rumble. You know what? I forgot to drop a locals link, so let me do that real quick. I usually don't forget about locals, but today Senpai forgot to notice you. But one thing I didn't forget while I'm dropping this locals link, guys, it's been a long time since I've done a stream on my other channel, Go East Gentlemen. In fact, I just checked, and it's been actually, you can see here, 7 months since I streamed with X-Ray Girl, which is hilarious. We are long overdue for a stream on my other channel. This is, of course, Go East Gentlemen, my channel about living in Asia, moving to Asia, and what's going on over here. So I'm going to be talking about new visas, some really crazy new opportunities. So if any of you are interested in Asia, or interested in the opportunities in Asia, or just want to hear what's going on this side of the world, check out this live stream. It'll be at this exact same time, but tomorrow. So tomorrow at the exact same time, I will be live streaming on Go East Gentlemen. I will not do one on Legal Mindset. There may or may not be a premiere, but this will be where I'm live streaming tomorrow. So make sure to check this out on goeastgentlemen.com. There's tons of new things going on in Korea, in Thailand. So come check that out. So all right, got this out on locals, and I'm getting a chat up as well. So you guys should have a chat over there on locals if you want to be nice and degenerate. That is all safely set up for you locals degens. All right. Well, good morning to everybody. And we've already got 283 people up in the hizzy and less than 100 likes. Let's get it up to 200 likes, because the only direction we should be going here is up. All right, I want to start us out before we hop into the actual decision. I wanted to do some light content before, just because I am doing a stream tomorrow on Go East Gentlemen, and you guys know I cover Asian issues, and this is kind of an intersection between my live in Asia stuff and legal mindset, because obviously one of the big problems with the US, one of the big problems we see with Canada, the US, Australia, Western countries, is CRT, and which is critical race theory, and this DEI BS that is pushed in education, that is pushed in schools, where there was just a really big, there was a really interesting conversation that happened in a Japanese school board that was very, very interesting. So I want to play that for you here in a second. And it kind of tells you when a lot of people get worried about Asia and get worried about woke stuff coming over here, I always tell them, guys, don't worry. It's not going to work here for many factors, but number one with which is they see what's happening and they don't accept it. They don't accept the premise. Is This Live dropping 20 legal Mindset memberships, helping you guys out big when it comes to memberships. This is why you guys got to attend the members only stream this morning, which is always really, really fun. I want to give a quick shout out to those people that were helped out by Is This Live. So give a big thanks here to Dex1K, Joanno12, Boomer, Pappy B, that dog in him, James Norman, Bad News Badger, Welshie, Madman Lucifer, Andy H, Toshimi, Tyler Sean, Another Mom, Scott C, Koji, Melger 666, Red Fox Moon, Joseph Valencia, Richard Kenny, and Michael Mathis. All you guys say thank you to Is This Live for hooking you up. He's been coming through big with the memberships. He's your membership sugar daddy. So make sure to thank him for those memberships. Drop some emojis in the chat as a thank you. It's the best thank you is a burning Mickey Mouse castle. All right, so here is the little clip I want to play before we get into the Disney decision, which we'll get into right after. But this is a clip from a Japanese, this is talking about school in Japan and discussing CRT coming to Japan. Listen up, guys.
日本に住んでいる日本語を話す日本人は特権階級だということを認識しろっていう主張なんです。だから私たちはみんな日本に住んでいる特権階級なんですよ。
I love the Japanese.
で、特権階級で、要は何が言いたいかっていうと、それによって日本に住んでいる日本人じゃない人、日本語を話さない人、そういう人たちが不利益を被っていると。
So this person is making an argument that Japanese in Japan speaking Japanese is discriminatory, right? So they're trying to make that argument with a straight face here. That's what they're trying to make. And these people are just trying to absorb the ridiculousness of this argument. This is fantastic.
だから要は私たちは日本語を話す日本人は特権階級であるということは要するに差別している。差別という犯罪を行っている人たちなんだということをお前たちは自覚しろって言ってるんですよ。あなたは何にもしてないかもしれないけど、あなたはそこに存在してるだけで差別をしてるんですって。そういう論法なわけですよ。
ほとんど現在みたいな。
現在論。で、これがもうアメリカでの今流行ってる批判的人種理論ってやつで、アメリカだと白人、英語を話す白人の男っていうのが一番その罪深いってことになってるんですね。だから白人の男はもうお母さんのお腹の中にいる時からもう差別という大反。
Well, look at there. This is the best part, guys. They're laughing at this. As they say this, they are laughing at this. This is the best part. They're explaining to this, and this concept is so ridiculous that they are openly laughing at this concept. That white people have this original sin, that white males are bad inherently. This is it's a joke. It's a complete joke when they bring it up, because that's how preposterous the idea is. That's how preposterous CRT is.
犯罪を起こしてるわけです。犯罪を行っているんですよ。だから生まれてきちゃったら、もう一生を贖罪に費やさなきゃいけない。
もうやりきれないですね。もう。
こういうことをですね、今アメリカの小学校とかでね、教えているんですよ。アメリカで。
This is great. The explanation, like in the school in Japan, there are a lot of leftists. The problem is that each state is forbidding the teaching of CRT in schools, and there are places that are doing some countermeasures.
ではこういうね、もう左派のね、運動というのは日本と同じでやっぱり教育の世界ってすごい成分が多いんですね。でこれを非常に問題だって言ってこういうことはやめようって言って週ごとにその批判的人種理論を学校で教えないようにしようって決めたりですね、そういったしてる対策を取ってるところもあるんです。
There you go. And she calls it out, which is what you got to do, which is they're trying to bring this, you say this weird logic. It's a huge problem in America. They're trying to build that social chaos in America to Japan.
ですね。で、それアメリカで非常にもう大きな社会問題になっていることが、今 こういう人たちがですね、こういうなんか謎理論を持ってくることによって、
And look, they laugh at that. They laugh at that because the idea is preposterous, right? Like the idea is preposterous of like that coming over and that being ported over to Japan.
日本に持ってこようとしてるわけですね。
はい。
だからもうこういう変なことを聞いたらですね、もう直ちに、あ、これはアメリカでやってること。
So that's really one of the clip I wanted to show you. To me, that's a white pill, guys. It's a very white pill that people are seeing it. People are seeing it around the world, and people need to laugh at it and mock it because it is laughable and mockable that anybody would believe that. It's a joke. It's a complete joke. And it also makes me feel good that people are seeing it, that people are getting it. Yeah, there's still some, there may be that may be some like leftover regulation because some of the regulations, they haven't scaled them back yet. You're not required to wear a mask, but there were some old regulations or whatever else that they haven't gotten rid of. There's still some of that stuff lingering around, but by and large, people don't care about those regulations anymore. People wear masks if they're sick, not, because they're afraid of anything. Actually, it's funny. The people I see wearing masks most here are the woke Westerners. That's the people who wear masks the most. It's the woke Westerners. It's always the woke Westerners. Anyways, that's a little bit of a white pill to start us out. Also, it kind of segues in with legal mindset, so I wanted to drop that there. Hard to rely on that white guilt with non-whites. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's weird. It's weird when you remove it from its context, where from its like home, that toxicity just doesn't work. It's like trying to infect something with venom that has anti-venom, right? It doesn't work. It's not going to catch on. So that's why I'm not as worried about it, because it's a grift. That being said, what is not a grift is this decision today. But before I get to that, I've already got a locals live chat that I've got a locals tip I've got to share. So and I'll share this one from the Uncovered Lamp for $5. He says, "Is this live? Can you post a link to the Japanese clip so I can share it?" Yes, I will. So Uncovered Lamp, I will share that in both YouTube and I will share that on locals so you guys can get that out. So that was a really good clip, and hopefully you guys can share that out with anybody who needs to see that. Actually, I'll put it on Rumble. I'll put it on YouTube and locals. So all of you guys should have that clip if you want to check it out. So there you go. Perfect. All right. Always willing to share, guys. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. All right. So here is the article I want to show you guys, the one that I was talking about when I am talking about what's going on with Disney. So there was a new decision that just came out, and Disney hopes that is going to help them against Ron DeSantis. So there was a new decision in the 11th Circuit. And there's the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, the Federal Circuit, and they just came out with a decision in the Andrew Warren case. And as you can see here, the House of Mouse hopes an appeals court ruling will help its case against Florida Ron DeSantis. So today we're going to look into this. Is this going to help them? Is this going to hurt them? I mean, Bob Iger will take any good news he can get, and his lawyers telling him that they've gotten a good argument has probably got him gassed up. It's also anything for the ally media, the Disney shill media. They will chomp on any bone you throw them. Okay. So understand that when they throw out cases and say, oh, this case will help, or this other thing will help, you've got to look at this and see what exactly happened. I love somebody says, Andrew Warren is Andrew Esquire's real name. No, I'm not a Democratic prosecutor from Tampa. That's not me. Sorry. Try again. But the House of Mouse hopes the appeals court will help it against Governor Ron DeSantis. So here you go. Governor DeSantis, war on woke. So once again, with all of these articles, you can always tell they're bent on the way they talk about things, the way they talk about, once again, the parental rights in education, or the anti-grooming bill, as I will call it, right? Anyone who calls it this without calling the anti-grooming bill has a political bias, because both of those things are accurate, right? If you want to call it the DSG law, I won't even say it, right? If you want to call it that, you might as well call it the anti-grooming law, because they're the same thing. I mean, from an argumental standpoint, both of them are equally valid. The real name is the parental rights and education law, which is what I refer to it as, which, to be clear, once again, protected children children from being sexualized by adults in the classroom. Once again, young children. These were third grade and below, very, very young children. And this apparently infringed upon the rights of teachers somehow, some way. So DeSantis signed legislation repealing Reedy Creek's Improvement District and dissolve Disney World's special district in 2023. I want to be very clear. It's the special district that included Disney World. But what we need to be very clear about is Disney does not own Reedy Creek. And this is a problem that the shill media has. They try to make it sound like this was something that was owned by Reedy Creek. As a government, it was required to be separate, to not be a subsidiary of Disney, to not be an affiliate entity, to not be a surrogate. It was completely separate. In fact, it had to attest that it was an independent entity that was completely separate from Disney. They had to attest to that in order to be allowed to issue government bonds, to be able to issue tax-free bonds. And they repeatedly, over the decades, dozens of times, attested to the fact that they were independent from Disney. So this argument that Disney is Reedy Creek, that Disney owns Reedy Creek, I've said it time and time again. I will not say it. I will keep saying it. I will not stop saying it. It is not just illegal and impermissible. It is factually incorrect. So these shill media that tries to make it sound like that it was a subsidiary, it was something Disney owned, that's not true. Yes, they controlled it with their votes, but being the majority voter is not supposed to be the same thing as control. In fact, those voters, that board is supposed to be independent and exercise independent judgment. They take an oath to do that. They take an oath to look out to those principles, to respect the Florida Constitution, to respect Florida law, which requires that. And to the extent that they did not do that, those board members can be in trouble and face criminal penalties. These are the same board members that I've said may face up to 30 years in jail for potential crimes. There's serious stuff that can come down on them. So they focus here on DeSantis handpicking the board. Well, they leave out the fact that Disney, for almost 60 years, not only picked the board, but they actually engaged in what appears to be bribery. Disney appears to have bribed, in a prima facie case, really, of bribery of the board for 60 years. It's just not fair when somebody else picks the board and it's not picked by Disney. They whine and cry and complain, despite the fact that, as a lawyer who's done special districts, the governor picks districts and picks members of the districts in many special districts. Many special districts are controlled by the government, are picked by the government, particularly if they are multi-county. So complaining about this is patently ridiculous. So obviously there's lawsuits and countersuits. But they go to this decision that just came out involving Andrew Warren, Democrat Andrew Warren, who was elected as state attorney for Hillsborough County. So Andrew Warren was a state attorney. Mind you, let's start out with our first fact here. This is patently different than a special district. A person who is a elected official, that is their job. That is their sole job, like their actual job. So if you remove them from that job, if you were to take that job away from them, you're actually removing something that is a benefit, that has direct cause and effect on that person. That is a right that person would have, or rather a benefit that person would have. You're taking that away from them as an elected official if you remove them from office. Right. So there's different procedures also involving removing an elected person. There's certain steps you have to go through to remove an elected person. You can't just willy-nilly remove an elected person. A special district, on the other hand, this is something which most lawyers don't know. And frankly, I'm the only lawyer out there who knows anything about this at all whatsoever. But I've said this once and I'll say it again. A special district serves, and this is the case here, the 11th Circuit case. A special district serves at the leisure of the government. So as long as the government wants that special district to exist, it exists. It's not voted into office. It doesn't have to be impeached or removed through a specific process. The second the government snaps its fingers, the second the government goes like this, the special district goes poof. That's how special district law works. So comparing a special district to a political position is already clearly distinct. They are not the same thing. It is apples and oranges to compare a person who is in a position to a special district. And then beyond that, going way beyond that, the whole issue is nothing has happened to Disney. Disney is just fine. Repealing Reedy Creek and replacing it with the CFTOD has done no damage to Disney. The government is fully allowed to do that for a myriad of reasons or no reason at all. Disney cannot prove a single thing they were going to do that they could not do under this new board. And because of that, because Disney is not Reedy Creek, because they were not the party that was disbanded. They're a separate company, which their corporate rights are just the same. This is not at all analogous. A situation happening to a person and it affecting their position as an elected official versus it happening to a government which oversees a corporation. Understand, this would be the equivalent of Starbucks suing because there was an issue that was ruled against the city of Seattle by the state of Washington. This would open up this precedent. If Reedy Creek was ruled on favorably for Disney, this precedent would allow private industries in every city to sue the state, to challenge the state whenever anything in the city was impacted. The potential scope and flood of litigation that could open, which would just be pointless litigation, is insane, is nuts. $20 from Leprechaun Gold dropping the super sticker on the Shiba with the cup. Thank you so much for that. Also, Aunt Nini, appreciate you becoming a member of the RPG, the Replay Gang. Welcome. And then Mike So dropping the big 5 Legal Mindset memberships on us here today. Thank you so much, Mike So. And say thank you to Mike So, Distracted C, Captain Dan, Michael Hall, Scott Watson, and Drakehelm. Say vielen Dank to Mike So because he hooked y'all up. All right, let's get back into this article. So Warren's policies and advocacy ruffled the feathers of Republican Ron DeSantis, who suspended the state attorney from office and appointed a political ally to replace him. So once again, there is a suspension procedure. And I think the more important question in this case, does he follow the procedure? And the conclusion here at the lower level, initially, the district court judge ruled that it violated some parts of the Constitution in 2 of 6 factors, but nonetheless rejected Warren's request because DeSantis could have suspended Warren anyway based on unprotected activity. So there was other things he did that were not protected that he could have removed him for. And by the way, the statements that they said were at issue here were statements on abortion and transgender that didn't become policy. I guess he made public statements regarding abortion and transgender rights, and those were allegedly the speech. So that's what Disney is trying to tie their wheel to. Disney is trying to say, well, we talked about transgenders. So because we talked about transgenders and he talked about transgenders, that's the same thing. Hold on a second. We're going to get into the ridiculous of that argument. Let's continue here. The appellate court ruled on appeal that the First Amendment did not protect the activities behind the factors, and they vacated the lower court's decision and remanded the case to district court to reconsider whether DeSantis would have suspended Warren solely based on unprotected activities. So they changed the analysis. Now, the court could still look at that and still conclude favorably, but it was a unfavorable ruling at the appellate level. So this is something that Disney took immediate attention of, saying, oh, this is going to help our First Amendment case. Remember, guys, I've been telling you the entire time, the First Amendment argument was always the weakest argument for Disney. It was always their most horrible argument, their most terrible argument, but they just liked it because they like saying free speech. We're free speech advocates without understanding what that means and what free speech is. So They claim that, obviously, in the free speech argument that Disney is making, they claim that disbanding RCAD and replacing it with the CFTOD was retaliatory, anti-business, and patently unconstitutional, despite the fact that they've cut taxes and become more efficient in the district, as well as adopted transparency laws, anti-corruption laws, ended nepotism, ended a pattern of illegal bribery that's been going on for decades, started reporting to the IRS the taxable benefits in the terms of employee park passes, cruise benefits, hotels that they were not reporting to the IRS, not issuing any new bonds for things that are clearly private, like private parking garages, things like that, stuff that is just so unconstitutional. Yeah. So that's what they're arguing. Disney is arguing. And to go along with that, we actually have that motion. But let me show you, before we get in the motion, the actual case. This is the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, Andrew Warren versus Ron DeSantis. So you can see right here a little explanation on what's going on, which is, and let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this. So you can see here, voters elected Andrew Warren to serve as state attorney. While serving, Andrew Warren had new policies and advocated reforms. Based on his policy and advocacy, DeSantis suspended him from office. Warren sued under 14 U.S.C. 1983, claiming that DeSantis suspended him in retaliation for his First Amendment activity and sought restatement. The district court rejected Warren's claims on the merits. So they found that the district court erred in concluding the First Amendment did not protect the activities, and we vacate and remand. We remand to reconsider whether DeSantis would have made the same decision based solely on the unprotected activities. So once again, this is an elected official who was elected in Hillsborough County, Tampa, Florida, quite a woke-ish area if you've ever been to parts of Tampa, the parts of Tampa that he represented. So we see that as their argument. Now, before we get into the Disney filing, let me put here, the Scorpion Black Dragon says the DeSantis campaign song is bibbity bobbity poof. Yeah, and look, guys, I will say this, and I've said this once and I'll say it again. My analysis of this has nothing to do with my feelings about Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign. In fact, at this point, it's pretty patently obvious that he's not doing well on the presidential stage, and he ain't making it in 2024. I'm just telling you right now. It's not going to be Ron DeSantis based on the polling numbers. Unless there's some miracle that happens here, the miracle of Iowa. It ain't happening for Ron DeSantis. But his political positions and his presidential campaign and all that has nothing to do with the Reedy Creek case. What the Reedy Creek case is based in is fundamental law. It's based in fundamental local government law, fundamental principles of Florida property law, Florida governmental law, basic things within the Florida Constitution, which have nothing to do with whatever political positions of Ron DeSantis and have nothing to do with the First Amendment. All of the law regarding creating and destroying governments in Florida has been around for decades. Disney is trying to subvert that law, and it has absolutely nothing to do with that. If Disney was to triumph in any of these cases, they would be given unprecedented power, which would usher a reign of corporate tyranny in America, the likes of which you have never seen. If you think things aren't bad already, they would get insane if Disney is allowed to prevail on either of these cases. It would be absolutely crazy. You'd also, by the way, have the ability for HOAs, which are private organizations, to gain the power of governments and to start having their own HOA police force, their own HOA firefighting department. All these powers are not supposed to have. Imagine being arrested by an HOA cop. How would you feel about that, guys? Probably not real good. Yeah, that's something that could definitely happen if they were allowed to prevail. Q Revere said it's unconstitutional in principle to remove an elected official. Only the people allowed to do it, especially sheriffs. He had my Clay County sheriff removed. Yeah, look, and I think that that you should not be removing folks except for constitutionally enumerated or state constitutionally enumerated valid methods of suspension and removal. If there's an actual grounds for removal based on their actions in office, then remove them. But otherwise, I am very much against removing elected officials, even ones that I don't agree with and don't like. So I agree with that. I very much agree with that as a principle. So Let's see right here Disney's First Amendment argument. So here's their argument that they filed with the court and where Disney thinks they won. So let's see what we got here. This is in the Northern District of Florida. This was fired 111. So you can see it was fired very recently. Walt Disney World Parks plaintiff versus Ron DeSantis, Meredith Ivey, the entire board of the CFTOD, which is Martin Garcia, Charbel Barakat, Brian August, Ron Perry, Bridget Ziegler, and Glenton Gilzalian, who is the district manager, the non-corrupt district manager, unlike the previous one. So here we go. Pursuant to Local Rule 7.1J, plaintiff Walt Disney World Parks hereby notifies the court of a recent decision. This is sort of a judicial notice thing where you're just putting them on notice. Okay, here is a supplemental authority because this came out and we believe it's relevant. The judge can choose to pay attention to it or disregard it or just completely disregard it. In Warren, the 11th Circuit reversed an order dismissing a First Amendment retaliation claim against Ron DeSantis, the plaintiff, an elected state attorney. So once again, not a corporation that happens to be within a special district, an elected state attorney. Let me highlight this for you guys here, just so you see it. Alleged that in retaliation for his protected political speech, the governor impermissibly suspended him from his position and replaced him with a political ally. According to the 11th Circuit, the district court erred in determining that the certain of the governor's justifications for the suspension fell outside of the First Amendment protection. Holding that most of the justifications were in fact prohibited retaliation for protected political speech, the court remanded for further consideration of whether the governor actually would have suspended the plaintiff based on his non-protected activities. The court also, so mind you, this is another one. Would you have suspended them solely based on non-protected activities? Let's keep this in mind because I'm going to analyze this in both a way as if the court ignores this altogether as an irrelevant decision, and if the court was to adopt this and even look at it under this analysis. So the court also rejected the governor's argument that even if the district court found a First Amendment violation on remand, it lacked the authority to provide a remedy. The 11th Amendment permits federal courts to remedy First Amendment violations. Okay, sure, you can remedy them. Good, cool story, bro. In the concurring opinion, Judge Newsom, okay, so not even in the main opinion, guys. This is what you need to be very clear here. Not even the main opinion, in the concurrence, okay? Judge Newsom summarized the First Amendment, saying the First Amendment is an inconvenient thing. It protects expression that some find wrong-headed or offensive or even ridiculous. But for the same reason, the government cannot muzzle so-called conservative speech under the guise of preventing on-campus harassment, the state can't exercise its power to censor so-called woke speech with which it disagrees. What's good for mine, whether I like it or not, good for thine. The same value strike here. What they're trying to do, Disney is trying to make the argument here that, well, this is just Ron DeSantis mad that we said something that's woke. That something is woke, right? We're mad about that. We're mad about being woke. And this is woke. So if it's woke, you can't stop it. Disney is trying to say, well, you can't stop woke speech. Okay, but okay. Let's play with that for a second. It's not just the speech. Is the speech being used in a way where you wouldn't otherwise be able to remove them for a legitimate reason, for a non-protected reason? Because look at this. Look at what the thing is. Could you suspend them solely based on his non-protected activities? Now, as I've said, I believe that this case, the Warren case, is completely irrelevant and dissimilar and distinguished from the Reedy Creek case. I believe that despite what Disney hopes, despite the pixie dust they want to sprinkle, that this is a completely different case. It's involving an elected official. It's involving someone who directly lost their position and somebody who made the statements. In Reedy Creek, it's involving a government, a corporation, which does not own that government. It's not their subsidiary. And the corporation was the one that made the statements, not Reedy Creek. Clearly distinguished. But let's pretend for a second. Let's enter into magical land that they do think, okay, this is similar enough. Let's look at this analysis. So we have to look at, could you destroy Reedy Creek? Could you disband Reedy Creek solely for non-protected activities? Could you destroy Reedy Creek solely for non-protected activities? So for things that are not covered by freedom of speech. I actually didn't have this pulled up yet, but we only have to find one reason. Remember, under Florida law, you only need one reason to destroy a government. And guess what we have? I'm going to quote it. We got 99 reasons, and the First Amendment ain't one. And you can find them in the CFTOD audit. We got 80 pages of reasons here, guys. 80 pages. Look at this. 80 pages with backup. With backup. We have backup here. 80 pages of backup. Just make sure this is coming through all right. It dropped in volume a little bit, but 80 pages of backup here about compromised integrity, about lack of transparency, questionable purpose, limited function, potential corruption, failures in urban planning, lack of governing and citing conflict of interest policies, lack of independence, lack of transparency, conflicts of interest, bias at the taxpayer's expense, lack of intergovernmental and community relations, poor government practices, agency capture, Disney annual passes, transferable tickets, personal numbers that were Disney employee identification numbers, discounts on cruises, discounts on theme park merchandise, discounts on activities, RCID employees receiving Disney service awards, agency capture, RCID favoritism, spending on parties and events, charges to the American Express card of the district administrator, which were illegal, executive benefits, improper accounting, illegal accounting, using district resources to manage the cities of Bay Lake and Buena Vista, sloppy contract record-keeping, entanglement between RCID and Disney, minority and women-owned business enterprises, corruption, illegal activities regarding DEI and this favorable contract awards. Really nasty stuff there. Deferral of road maintenance, using public resources for Disney's private purposes. All of these reasons, guys, every single one standing by itself is enough. Every single one by itself is enough to stand as a basis to suspend solely based on non-protected activity. So every single one of those reasons, they only need one. Every single one of those reasons is enough to have disbanded Reedy Creek. This is where they lose even with this case. Even with this case, they'll lose. But let me get the super chat here from Midnight Eye. Says, what will it take to get a couple hardbound copies of Seedy Creek to send as gifts to Linda Stewart and Nelson Peltz? Maybe digital gift file to Elon. Okay, I have to speak. I have somebody, and by the way, if anybody else here has experience with this, feel free to email me at andrewesquirelive@gmail.com or hit me up on X if anybody else has binding experience and shipping experience. But frankly, of course, I'm over here in Asia, and it's a little bit difficult to deal with dealing with hard copies and shipping out hard copies. But I have heard stuff expressed for hard copies of Seedy Creek, and I'm open to the idea. So if someone wants to work with me on that, I had one of my channel supporters. I'm waiting for him to write me back. But if any of you guys want to help out with that and want to hit me up, we can talk about it, and maybe I will add that as a separate tier to get a hard copy of Seedy Creek. Obviously, once we have the digital file, it's pretty easy to make a hard copy. I don't want to manage that from in Thailand, where for me to ship a book to you is like $150. It's like ridiculous. I'm not going to have you guys, and I'm being hyperbolic, but it's very expensive to ship stuff from Asia. So I don't want to be shipping stuff from over here to you guys. So I want to make sure that's taken care of because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. But I'm really excited about Seedy Creek, and to to flex here a little bit, guys, I really appreciate you guys supporting this project because we've already hit some amazing goals. We're almost at 3K, which is a huge milestone for us at Seedy Creek. 2.5 here, 171 backers. So thank you guys for coming up behind this, hitting us 500% of our initial goal, making sure that the Western Penman is eating well, doing good. But thank you so much. And as we get more, we are going to put more into the book. We're going to add more details, add more pages. So guys, make sure you're supporting this project and check this out over here on IndieGoGo. The link is in the description, as well as I know Danielle will drop it in the chat. So thank you very much for hooking that up, Danielle. So to me, when I look at this case law, I think the Disney lawyers, when they're making this filing, are really hoping for a Hail Mary here, because what we've got a situation where the motion to dismiss is going to be ruled on. There's going to be a ruling on this thing in the near future. The judge has said he's going to make a ruling shortly. Now, Disney is trying to stall, and they have successfully stalled the state case a bunch. They've filed a bunch of public records requests. They've delayed. But the federal case, we are going to get a ruling on sooner. So I expect the federal case to either go ahead and proceed, where we go towards summary judgment, where we go further, or to get dismissed outright. So that should happen very, very soon. I imagine the next month or two, whether it's February or March, but very, very soon, I expect that to come down the pike. I see people in the chat saying I should speak to Ripa. I don't have as much of a direct line to Ripa, and I'm sure Ripa is busy with other stuff right now, not having to deal with me asking him for printing assistance. But that said, if he had spare time or somebody that had a connection with that, sure, whatever. I'm open to collab with anybody when it comes to my products. Just saying. So that is my take on that. Now, I think that the Disney shills are going to continue to put out articles on this. I think that articles like the one we saw, that Disney is taking a huge W here, they're going to continue. They're going to be out there for the next couple days. But I want you guys to be forewarned of those and understand that while Disney wants to take a victory lap on all of this case law, they don't understand it in the context of Florida law. Disney has constantly tried to apply federal law that's irrelevant to Florida. They've tried to apply law that applies to individuals to governments. It doesn't work that way. The precedent that Disney would set would absolutely destroy America in terms of states having control over their subdivisions, over special districts, over cities. It would create chaos in the municipal governance field. So this would be absolutely wrecked, absolutely crazy. Let's see. So I think I got everybody there. Let me make sure. Rumble's Schmo asked me, can we get a refresher on what was the reason that DeSantis claimed to remove the guy? He wanted to remove him because apparently Andrew Warren took a stance on transgender issues and on abortion. So they wanted to remove Andrew Warren because he made a statement on transgender issues and abortion. And so they're trying to say that's similar to Disney's position on the parental rights and education bill. It's not. A Scorpion Black Dragon says, seems to me like you need to start transcribing all your videos for that fat amicus brief when Disney appeals this forthcoming court ruling. Yeah, I definitely, you know what? I should file an amicus. That would be actually hilarious. That would be hilarious. I could work with some other lawyers to file an amicus. That'd be great. That'd be perfect. Just file a fatty to their appeal. Just be like, hey, what's up? What's up, guys? Because I'm already building, one of the things I'm working on is the class action, right? The class action against Disney, just to tee that up and send that out there for anybody that wants to take a class action at Iger. I'm working on that slowly. It's a slow project to build that thing up. So working on the amicus brief for the Disney appeal. That would be great. That'd be perfect. That'd be perfect. Gary might be able to bully the fellowship into helping figure something out. Yeah. And look, I'm not trying to, guys. One of my weaknesses, and I self-admit this, is I don't like asking for help. Right? I really don't. That's my weakness. I like to just be like, I'm gonna do it. Like, screw it. I'll do it live. I'll do it myself. I'm very much that guy that's like, oh, I'll just do this myself. Right? So for me, whenever I see something, it takes a lot for me to go ask for help from people, but I appreciate those that have volunteered to help me, that came up and helped. Western Penman, our artist from this, is a fan of the channel, watches the channel, is probably watching right now. And I am so glad to have a community of base Chads and Stacys that are not just intelligent, but also skilled and talented. The fact that we have a talented artist out there is great. It's fantastic. And hopefully he gets a lot more work. And for those that aren't already following him, you can follow him over here on X at the Western Penman. So let me pull that up real quick for you guys. So you see that. Go to his actual profile, not his DMs. But you can see right now he's got the Walt Wright meme over here, you know, and he's over here, Western Penman, at the Western Penman. You can DM him for art commissions because he will be open for commissions. But go ahead and follow him. He's posting out. He'll post out stuff as we pass different marks. So we'll have some updates for you. We got the SS public domain sailing out here in City Creek. Another announcement is Doomcock hit his requirement to get his Easter egg in the comic. So there will be a Doomcock Easter egg in the comic. That's already in the books. Is This Live for 5 says, Disney's problem, as I see it, is that Iger thinks he is Louis the 15th. I am the state, and the state is I. He thinks he's above the state. He thinks, Bob Iger thinks that the normal laws don't apply to him. But the thing is, these laws do indeed apply. And he's seeing that and kind of getting the pushback from that at large. And you're seeing they're getting massive blowback, especially as they prepare for layoffs. And guys, I reported on the Pixar layoffs, and I just want to point out that after I reported on them, it has been like a flood. I've seen a flood of reporting coming here on this issue. You can see here, TBI over here is reporting on this, right? Disney-owned Pixar braces for further layoffs. So this is something that's become official. And this is something that already is following the cut of 75 rules. So they already cut in June 2023, and they're cutting even more now. So they're suggesting that they're cutting over 300 employees. So this is going to be a huge reduction in the workforce, an absolutely massive one for Pixar. But it's going to come from the streaming segment because nobody is engaging with Disney Plus. Nobody is engaging with Disney Plus. So this is a big problem for Iger and the Disney Corporation. And of course, I'm not going to let them off the hook with any of this. They're going to be held to task day after day after day. But guys, listen, that's what I had for today. A real simple one, but I wanted to make sure you guys understood that. And in case you saw any arguments or any things that are hyperbolic, even some of my fellow streamers, my fellow Disney streamers, I know Valiant wanted me to have on myself on the channel, but I said, hey, look, I'm going to stream on it tomorrow. But a lot of folks may be freaking out about it or may think it's big news, but this is in fact something that's a lot smaller of an impact on the actual legal decision, but it's good for my channel to be debunking it. So make sure you've liked this and you've shared this out there with folks to debunk all of the dismal Disney dumbness. That being said, guys, thanks, take care, and I will catch you tomorrow on Go East Gentlemen. Check my stream over there on Go East Gentlemen, talking about what's going on with the new visas over here. Oh, real quick, Tiger Shark says, nice drapes. Got to upgrade mine. Trump 2024. And We Shenanigans says the plexiglass is to separate their mics. Someone speaks softly, their mic, and only their mic can be turned up. Thank you, We Shenanigans. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense, in fact. So thank you for explaining that. Anyways, guys, take care. Catch you later.